We are underway. Ball one on Juan Pierre. 4 for 9 against Lilly with a couple of doubles. That's what you try to get Juan Pierre to do, hit the ball in the air, as Blanco, getting his first start at short with the Cubs, makes a catch. 2 pitches, 1 out. 65 degrees, a northeast wind, and a cool but very pleasant forecast. We could possibly see some rain later, but I really hope not.
Me too.
We've had enough.
Good start for Ted Lilly. Anytime you can get Juan Pierre to hit the ball in the air, that's a much more desirable result than if he hits the ball on the ground where he has a chance to use his legs.
Russell Martin swats one into left for the first hit of the afternoon. Came in hitting under 200 over his last 11 games. And it brings up Orlando Hudson, who went 0 for 4 last night. He was one of the hottest hitters in baseball, hitting in 17 in a row, but went 0 for in the opener. That's a strike, outer half. Just because Russell Martin is a catcher, don't think he won't run. He's 6 out of 9 in the stolen base department this year. Just about everybody in this lineup will run.
With the possible exception of Casey Blake, the third baseman, he's the only starter that has not attempted a stolen base this year.
Ground ball backhanded by Lee. They get 1 at second base. Relay dropped by Lilly. They tried to do it the tough way, 3-6-1. And Ted was unable to garner that low throw by Blanco. It'll be a fielder's choice for Hudson.
Almost a nice double play. Hudson with an inside out swing on a pitch that was up and in. Derek Lee initiates the double play. Nice play by Blanco. And Ted Lilly just kind of awkward when he got over there to first base. Had his foot firmly planted on the base. Just couldn't come up with that low throw.
Well, you see, look at his right foot. I mean, it's on top of the base. Unfortunately, Hudson didn't step on Ted Lilly. That could have been an injury for both guys. You can't assume the double play, so no error. It'll be a fielder's choice. And it's James Loney, the first baseman. Lilly lollipops one over to first. Hudson is 4 for 4 in steals.
And Ted's ability to at least slow down the Dodger running game is going to be very important this afternoon. We know he can be slow to the plate at times.
James Loney, a career .302 hitter. The next one, pop foul, back out of play. This is the place to be today, no question about it. And finally starting to feel like summer. Another toss to first.
It's the first day in a long time that we showed up at Wrigley Field and the sun was actually shining. We got out of the car this morning.
Maybe that's a good omen for the team on the field, a team that has been struggling lately. Speaking of omens, former Cub lefty Will Omen has gone to the disabled list for the Dodgers with left shoulder inflammation. We didn't see Will out in the bullpen last night. Now we know why. And they now have 3 catchers on their roster. A.J. Ellis brought up from AAA Albuquerque. And if you had your druthers, every team would have 4 or 5 catchers on the roster.
Why not?
They have Brad Ausmus and now A.J. Ellis, and they're hoping their ace starter Hiroki Kuroda will be back not too far in the future off the DL, and so this might be a short-term situation behind the plate.
Well, and you mentioned Brad Ausmus, a guy who plays rarely with Russell Martin, the everyday catcher for the Dodgers. But in talking to the Dodgers coaches, they give a lot of credit to Brad Ausmus as well as Mark Loretta, another guy who plays rarely, used mostly as a pinch hitter this year, but two very solid, steady veteran presences in that clubhouse. And they give them a lot of credit for the success the Dodgers have had in the early going this year, even though they haven't been on the field that much.
Two and two, 2 outs. Orlando Hudson at first base. We're in the first. Hudson with a good lead. And Lilly's coming to the plate, and it's hit foul by Loney. Hudson having a little trouble picking up Ted's move as he went back towards first with his first movement as Lilly went toward the plate. There goes the runner, and the throw not in time, really close, and it doesn't matter. Loney went around on the check swing, and that's a strikeout to end it. So no stolen base. The Dodgers done in the first. Cubs coming up when we come back. Some changes. Soriano, as always, in the leadoff spot, but Bobby Scales in the 2-hole. Terrio out of the lineup. Fukudome, Lee, Hoffpower in for Bradley. Fontenot at second, Hill catching, Blanco at short, and Lilly pitching.
Take a look at the Dodgers defensively. Pierre, Kemp, and Ethier across the outfield. A lot of speed out there defensively for the Dodgers. Casey Blake at third, Juan Castro at short today. Orlando Hudson at second base. James Loney over at first. Russell Martin once again doing the catching today for right-hander Chad Billingsley. 6-2 record on the season. Sparkling ERA of 2.82. He's held righties to a 187 batting average. Features a 4-pitch mix. He'll cut his fastball. He'll sink his fastball. And this is one guy. I'm usually an advocate of being patient, trying to work a lot of deep counts. But against Billingsley, I think you're better served attacking him early in the sequence. The numbers against him once hitters get to 2 strikes are not very good.
And Soriano going after the second pitch, fouling it back. Billingsley last pitched against the Cubs here in Game 2 of the Division Series last October. 6 2/3 innings. Gave up just 1 run in the Dodgers' 10-3 win. He was excellent that night. He's from Defiance, Ohio. Have you been to Defiance?
I can't say that I have. I assume it's up north somewhere, but I'm not real familiar with Defiance, Ohio.
I defy you to go there.
I defy you to tell me where it is.
I know it's in Ohio. He was a first-round pick in 2003. A 1-2 on the way, and Soriano chased. Fonzie's been bothered by a sore knee, and hopefully it doesn't get any worse. But if it does, Lou says he might have to give him a few days off. So the walking wounded, that list seems to be growing. There's Bobby Scales, who came off the bench last night and hit his second home run, both of the pinch hit variety.
Boy, and it was a great at bat too. He worked Randy Wolf, fouled off a number of 2-strike pitches. Finally got one to his liking and tucked it up there in the bleachers in left field.
Batting left-handed versus the righty Billingsley. Scales the third Cub to hit pinch hit homers for his first two major league blasts. Chick Tolson in the mid-20s, and Gary Matthews Jr. in 2000, thanks to Ed Hardig providing that information. I know you had several Chick Tolson baseball cards.
I think Chick's cards, a lot like mine, ended up in the spokes of a bicycle.
The 1-1 pitch caught the outside corner, and it's 1-2 on Scales. Fukudome on deck, and if anybody reaches, Derek Lee, who's hitting cleanup. So our crack research staff tells us Defiance is in northwestern Ohio. Population 16,000.
Well, there you go. I never really had much reason to go to the northwest part of the state.
So it would be kind of in the Rust Belt, right? Between Cleveland and Pittsburgh. 3-2 on Scales, who has had a lot of patient at bats. Swung on and missed. Strike three.
We were talking before the ball game, Lynn Billingsley, along with big Jonathan Broxton in the bullpen for the Dodgers, have what a lot of people feel is the ideal build for a pitcher. Thick, strong legs, long upper body. Really derives a lot of his power from his lower body, delivering that ball to the plate. He'll cut his fastball in on the lefties, as we just saw there, to Kosuke Fukudome. Occasionally he'll two-seam it, try to sink it away.
Billingsley can't get it. Barehanded by Hudson. What a play. Multiple Gold Glover Orlando Hudson. They call him the O-Dog. I guess he was the D-Dog there. And that ends the first. 0-0 from Wrigley Field.
up the middle of the field with Fukudome's speed. He was going to have no chance to glove and throw to first, so went with the bare hand, got the out at first. That's today's Jimmy John's Delivery, America's favorite sandwich delivery guys.
Casey Blake will lead off the Dodgers second, and I'm directionally challenged. The northwest corner of Ohio would be towards Indiana, not Pennsylvania. I'm all messed up. As Blake is going to fly out to Micah Hoffpower, 1 pitch, 1 out. I thought Casimir was in Indiana, right? Indiana, got all messed up.
I think the northwest side of the state's over there, Toledo,
you got
Bowling Green, that area over there. Sandusky.
Yeah, home of Cedar Point. Here's Andre Ethier. One ball, no strikes. Wind is blowing harder now, straight in from center field. Getting a nice cool breeze. Fouled out of play. Ted has given up his share of home runs this season. He's allowed 10 in over 58 innings, but the Dodgers don't hit a lot of home runs. Splintered his bat as Blanco comes in and throws him out. Here comes Matt Kemp, the center fielder, with 2 outs. Now, they do everything well except hit home runs, but when you're doing all those things, you don't need to hit home runs.
Well, in their home ballpark, Dodger Stadium, it's tough to hit home runs there at night anyway. So their offense is probably better suited not only to play at Dodger Stadium, but all around baseball, depending on wind conditions and the ballpark they're in. But they just slap base hits around the field, run the bases aggressively.
The batting averages in this lineup: 403, 267, but then 338, 296, 299, 256. Kemp at 295. Castro, the 8-hitter, 385. They have piled up their hits. Even the pitcher today, Billingsley's in the 200s. One swing and a miss, a ball and 2 strikes on Matt Kemp. Ted Lilly has had a decision in every start, 9 of them to begin the season. He won his first 2, lost the next 2, then won 3 in a row, and most recently dropped his previous 2. So I guess if the trend holds, he should win a couple at least in a row.
Due to crank off about 3 in a row.
Slow wind, and the 2-2 misses up and away to fill up the count at 3-2.
And for the most part, Ted Lilly's been pretty efficient with his pitches as well. He's only gone over the 100 pitch mark 3 times this season, on all 3 times 104 pitches.
And that should bode well for him towards the end of the year. You can stretch him out maybe a little bit more. Skied to right for Hoffpower. Doesn't have to battle the sun right now, the wind, but not the sun. 5 straight sent down by Lilly after the single by Martin. No score early on. Just a little hesitation by Jake Fox. And Bob, that's sometimes all it takes. And Bobby Scales got tipped over by Russell Martin.
Fortunately, no damage done, but double plays are all about timing and rhythm. And that time, the beginning of the double play threw off the timing and unfortunately hung Bobby Scales out to dry at second base, but he was able to get up in the air, absorb the blow at second base, and get up none the worse for wear.
Derek Lee leading off the Cubs second. Strike one from Billingsley. Got a big piece of the catcher Martin. Looks like he's fine. Every time I say Chad's surname, I think about June Cleaver, right? Barbara Billingsley from Leave It to Beaver. I haven't heard or seen that there's any sort of relation there.
Jerry Mags as the Beaver.
That's right. Off the outside corner, and it's even at 2 apiece.
Well, we were told Billingsley is using that cut fastball a lot more this year. He has thrown a bunch of them in the early going here today to righties and lefties.
Seems like when guys develop that pitch, they throw it a lot.
And I think for the most part, guys who fall in love with that pitch and use it to excess end up having negative results. For me, it's always been a complimentary pitch. I mean, there are guys, Mariano Rivera jumps to mind immediately, where that's his primary pitch. Derek Lee takes the base on balls to start the second inning. But for most guys, it's a pitch that is down the ladder of your effectiveness. Most guys have a good 2-seam fastball or a 4-seam fastball, some type of a breaker, either a curve, a slider, some type of a changeup, maybe a splitter. And that cut fastball is a complimentary pitch you use when you get in a jam and a hitter has seen everything else you have. You drop that on him, catch him by surprise. But as you said, once guys start to throw it, they tend to fall in love with it because it can be a very effective pitch.
Hoffpauir pulls it fair, past the bag at first. Ethier will pick it up, and Hoffpauir has a double. Lee stopping at third, and the Cubs threatening with nobody out.
Looked like a slider that just didn't break right in the middle of the plate for Micah Hoffpauir. He topped it a little bit, but got it right down that first baseline past James Loney. Kind of an odd throw back to the infield by Andre Ethier. It's kind of like when you were a kid playing pitcher's hand. He just kind of threw it back to the middle of the diamond. There was nobody there. He overthrew both cutoff men, and ultimately Billingsley, the pitcher, came out to get the throw back to the infield.
Pitcher's hand. I remember those days.
Some indecision. He didn't know where to throw the ball. He looked like he was lining up to throw it to second base and ended up just tossing it back toward the middle of the infield. And Billingsley was over there backing up the play between third and home and eventually got that throw.
Dodgers will basically concede a run if Fontenot can make some good contact. Blake is in a little bit at third. Everybody else back at their normal depth. The kick and the 1-1 is called strike. Billingsley is absolutely a strikeout pitcher. More strikeouts than innings pitched coming into action today, and he has 2 in 1 inning already. Looking for another one here. Fontenot trying to hang in. He does, but he lines out to Hudson, and everybody has to hold. Well, that's a situation where Mike Fontenot did his job, but he hit it right at somebody.
Hey, you look at the scorebook tomorrow, and it'll say Mike Fontenot left 2 runners in scoring position, but he did everything he could do right there. 2-strike count. He got a good pitch to hit it hard, unfortunately right at the Dodgers second baseman.
Dodgers will stay in the same alignment even with one out. And Coy Hill up there. I think this is a function of the Dodgers have been scoring a lot of runs. Swing and a miss by Hill. I love your philosophy in general about baseball. There are no absolutes. There's no black or white. It has to be this way. Some teams in this spot will bring everybody in with one out. A lot of it depends on how your offense is doing, how the other team's offense is doing, what inning it is.
Pitchers on the mound that day, how are they throwing the ball? Conditions change quickly over the course of a season, over the course of a ball game. Joe Torre and Lou Piniella certainly have seen enough ball games to know that. And they manage accordingly.
0-2 on Coy Hill, who, by the way, was officially announced as a pinch hitter. Amidst the confusion last night, there was a communication mix-up. Basically, they were trying to call Coy back to the dugout. He was being used as a decoy, and they wanted to use Kosuke Fukudome. They also had Micah Hoffpower available, but I guess Coy didn't know and didn't hear them and ended up in the box. And once you step into the batter's box, you are officially in the game.
I talked briefly last night about the protocol for a pinch hitter. Usually the manager or the umpire first will look at the manager. The manager will point at the pinch hitter, and only then will the umpire turn around to the press box and indicate this guy is in the game. But because Coy made it all the way up to the batter's box, dug a toe hold, at that point you're considered to be inserted in the ballgame.
Swing and a miss, strike three. So Billingsley is getting close to escaping. 2 outs with Blanco coming up. Watch the Cubs take on the Dodgers tomorrow afternoon at 3:10. Kids get to the ballpark early. The first 5,000 children 13 and younger will receive an exclusive Chicago Cubs plush bear from Build-A-Bear Workshop. Compliments of Pepsi and Navy Pier. Well, even though there are 2 outs, Blake actually playing closer to home plate, guarding against a potential bunt by Blanco. Is a sliding play by Martin. The Cubs last night did not have a hit with runners in scoring position. 0 for 8. Grounded into 4 double plays. So they had their opportunities, and they have another one here today, but they're 0 for 2 with men in scoring position. One ball, 1 strike.
I think the fact that Blake is playing in at third base is just more a general assumption that people make about middle infielders. Andres Blanco, as we know, a switch hitter. He's a middle infielder, so you assume he's fast and he can bunt. I don't think anybody really knows for sure whether Andres Blanco can bunt for a base hit, but the Dodgers aren't going to take any chances. He looks like he can, so we're going to take it away from him.
2-1 on Blanco, who may not get a very good pitch the rest of this sequence. The pitcher, Ted Lilly, is on deck, and first base is open. Here he comes. Popped him up over on the right side of the infield, just into the outfield grass. It's Loney, and the Cubs waste an opportunity. Second and third, no outs, and they draw a blank. On to the third, 0-0. Ted Lilly facing Juan Castro. No score. We're in the third. Juan Castro is a career .231 hitter. He's been around for a long time. He is having a career renaissance. Back with the Dodgers, and he was it just foul? That was really close. His scale slipped going after it.
Yeah, the renaissance for Castro really started down in Arizona in spring training. He hit close to 470 in the Cactus League.
Tommy Lasorda enjoying the eats here at Wrigley Field. Castro began his major league career with the Dodgers in 1995. Called strike 3. One thing that probably won't happen today, Bob, Castro won't get hit by a pitch. That is his 2,619th career plate appearance. He's been hit by a pitch once, which is pretty remarkable.
Well, he does stand well off the plate. Likes the ball out away from him where he can drive it to the opposite field or take advantage of off-speed mistakes on the inside part of the plate.
John Billingsley with a big swing and a miss. Well, it was kind of funny to watch. I can tell you Joe Torre and Rick Honeycutt were laughing in the dugout. Billingsley slipped on a patch of ice in the offseason at his home in Pennsylvania in November and suffered a spiral fracture of the tibia in his left leg. Fortunately for him, it didn't push him back in spring training, but it's a pretty scary situation. He almost tweaked that ankle.
We joke about it from time to time when a guy takes an awkward swing and falls down in the batter's box, but I guarantee you when it's your pitcher, the manager and the pitching coach don't see anything humorous about it. You just want to see your guy get back up on his feet with no damage done.
Past Lilly, surrounded by Fontenot, and he still has time.
Presence of mind that time by Mike Fontenot to understand who was running. Chad Billingsley, the pitcher, had a little more time, didn't have to rush his throw quite as much as you might think, and gets it across to first base in plenty of time. Took an extra step or two just to make sure he had a good grip on that baseball. Made a strong throw to Derek Lee.
They say 1-4-3 if you are keeping score at home. Pierre looks at ball one. Two-0 pitch from Lilly. Waist high strike to make it 2-1. Lefties don't bother Pierre. It would be tough to find another major league player who spends more time at the ballpark than Juan Pierre.
We know for a fact in his days as a Cub, regardless of what time you got to the ballpark, Juan Pierre was already there in uniform.
His one season here, a slow start, that was 06. Very strong finish. 204 hits. He led the National League in hits. Derek Lee led the league the year before. And Pierre was the first Cub to have a 200 hit season since Ryne Sandberg in 1984. Stole 58 bases that season, the third most of any Cub in the modern era. 3-2. Martin on deck. 2 down in the inning. The pitch. Ball 4 on a close one. It's only the third walk given up by Ted Lilly at home all season. Tonight it's part 2 of the baseball doubleheader as division rivals collide at Kansas City. Jermaine Dye and the Sox square off with the Royals. Don't miss the White Sox and Royals in HD tonight at 7 right here on Comcast Sportsnet. Fans' best friend. Clayton Richard and Brian Bannister, the scheduled starters in that one. Everything else tonight under the lights, except I guess Oakland and Texas will get underway at 4 o'clock. First game of a doubleheader. So a late afternoon contest, but everything else technically a night game tonight.
You mentioned the 204 hits for Juan Pierre back in 06 for the Cubs. Normally, if a guy gets over 200 hits, you can assume that he's going to hit 300 for the season. The problem with Juan Pierre is he doesn't walk very much. He gets a lot of at-bats. That year with the Cubs had 699 at-bats. So although 200 hits usually guarantees you a 300 season, if you don't take a lot of base on balls and you rack up a high number of at-bats the way Juan Pierre does out of the leadoff spot, it causes your average to be a little lower than you would expect. I mean, 292 ain't bad, but generally 200 hits guarantees you a 300 average.
Yeah, we've talked about it before. He really has to hit 290 to 310, 320 to be considered an effective force in an offensive lineup in terms of getting on base, because he doesn't walk a ton. Lilly struggling with his command after 2 outs here in this inning. He walked Pierre. He's 2-0 on Martin. The kick and the pitch. That's a strike. I want to welcome those viewers watching around the world in Australia and Europe today for Cubs baseball. Lilly will throw to first. Not sure what time it is in Australia right now, but if somebody's watching us from there, they can send us an email. Pierre runs, got a great jump, and Martin fouled it off.
I'm not sure what time it is in Chicago right now.
You can email us at lenandbob@comcastsportsnet.com. A little after 2 o'clock Chicago time.
Well, Russell Martin did the Cubs a huge favor right there. He swung at a pitch off the plate, up and in. Juan Pierre had a monster jump over there at first base and was going to steal second easily.
Not running, and the wind's going to keep this one out of play.
And watching Ted Lilly as he lifts that right leg to start his delivery to home plate. He's keeping a close eye on Juan Pierre even after he picks up his leg. There have been times, and Ted Lilly is one of the rare left-handed pitchers that has the ability to start his delivery and not have his mind made up where he's going to throw the ball.
A fly ball down the left field line. This ball is hooking near the pole, and it's barely fouled. It just did not quite have home run distance, and it missed hitting the top of the wall in the basket area by a couple of feet.
Maybe just enough help from the wind right here. Martin at the barrel of the bat on a cut fastball down and in. Just does get into those bleachers to the foul side of the chalk.
We still have not had, I don't believe, have we had replay involving the Cubs? The Mets have had like 5 balls out near the wall that have been reviewed. That one was close. It's a little tricky right down there in the corner. You have the yellow pole and the white line that is in play, but not a home run. You have that corner. I mean, there's about what, 5 or 6 inches between the sidewall and the white line, which is fair territory. Kicks away. Pierre's going to take off, and Hill won't even throw it. They call that a wild pitch, Bob, but it should almost be a half a steal because not too many guys are going to take off on that. But Juan Pierre can.
That big breaking ball ends up in the dirt. Coy Hill in good position to block it. Unfortunately, the ball hit on the heel of his glove and just trickled far enough away for Juan Pierre to motor on down to second base.
We did get an email from Australia where it's 5:05 a.m. Saturday morning. That should be up early with us.
We're staying up late, either or. Maybe he's just on his way home. You never know.
This long at bat continues, and Lilly will fake towards second.
And Coy Hill just gave a very subtle sign to Bobby Scales at third base, as well as Andres Blanco at shortstop. He put his right hand up underneath his throat to let them know that he's not going to throw if Juan Pierre tries to steal third base.
Blanco ranging down, and he'll throw. Derek Lee, the dig at the other end. That saved a run. If the ball gets by Lee, Pierre scores easily. Nicely done at both ends. Excellent range by Blanco. He was able to get up quickly. And then Derek Lee, the Gold Glover at first base. Still 0-0.
The McDonald's appetite stimulus package, a hot sandwich, a cold drink, and delicious fries, all for under $5.
The temperature continues to drop. With a northeast wind. Swing and a miss by Ted Lilly. Not quite that cold, but I guess we're getting into winter in Australia, right? As we get into the summer months.
I'm all confused now.
I know. Ted Lilly bunts it foul. Tamara Anderson, our associate producer, was asking, well, if it's 5 a.m. in Australia tomorrow, they already know what the final score is going to be. Right? Don't tell us. We'd rather experience it for ourselves as Lilly strikes out. 4 Ks for Billingsley. And the Chicago Blackhawks coaching staff is here. From your right, John Torchetti, the head coach, Joel Quenneville, Mike Havland, Mark Bergevin, Stefan Waite, and Brad Aldrich enjoying the ball game. Probably a couple guys wondering why they didn't bring a sweatshirt.
There's no ice in baseball. They probably figured they were safe to come out here in short sleeves today.
There it is. What a year they had. Pulled on the ground right to the shortstop, Castro. Two quick outs, and here comes Bobby Scales. Joe Mantegna, Chicago native, great actor, and he will handle the 7th inning stretch. All the celebrities are here. Larry King didn't get enough sleep last night. He was out here last night. He's got his Dodger cap on. Come on, Larry. Maybe the LA is for the first 2 letters of his name. Luke Stuckmeyer doing his homework. I don't see a notepad though.
It's all up here. Luke's like a computer, has a mind like a computer. He sees it, he remembers it.
You think Luke's sitting right next to Larry and Joe where all the celebrities sit?
I'll tell you, in this town, Luke Stuckmeyer's bigger than any of those guys.
That's right. Does a great job here on Comcast Sportsnet, as his cell phone, I'm sure, is blowing up right now.
Yes, indeed.
You are on TV, Luke. And his answer will probably be, I'm on TV every night anyway. Scales bounces. Loney will field. Billingsley got over there quickly. And that's it. He's retired 6 in a row. 0-0 after 3. Before Darren Dreifert did it against the Cubs in 2000. Who was the last Dodger pitcher to homer twice in one game? Answer coming up. Got to find a rainbow somewhere, partner, because it is raining and the sun is out.
Go figure.
Hudson bounded one into the Cubs dugout. Hope the Gatorade machine is okay.
Well, the Gatorade machine will be fine. It's already proven it can take a punch or a bat.
Hope everybody else is all right as well. 1-1 on Hudson. Ground ball toward the hole. It's short. Blanco up quickly, and the tag applied by Derek Lee. The throw tailing toward home plate.
Andres Blanco's made some nice plays in his short time up here at the major league level. Really got rid of that ball quickly, perhaps a little too quickly, but Derek Lee helps him out at the other end with the tag on Orlando Hudson as he ran past.
And you can see Derek kind of pulling his left arm back to avoid a major collision, a possible wrist and maybe left shoulder injury. You know about the wrist. It was that other wrist that got pinched by Rafael Furcal a couple of years ago. 1 strike on Loney. Each team with only 1 hit. We thought we'd have to wipe off the camera lenses today. I was sweating. I was in the dugout, and it was a good 75 degrees, and in the sun it felt like it was 80. It has really changed. That's a foul ball by Loney.
Writing down that last out of the bottom half of the 3rd inning, and I looked up and saw everybody scrambling from their seats. I didn't know what was going on, and then looked up toward the roof of the stadium here, and you could see the rain was falling.
Well, everybody left because Luke Stuckmeyer got up, and they all wanted his autograph.
Probably chaos out there in the concourse right now.
Called strike 3. Loney is out. 2 strikeouts for Lilly, both coming against James Loney. Actually, 3rd strikeout, 2 of the 3 to Loney.
Loney didn't think so. But Lilly with a good 4-seam fastball right on the inside corner. It's a dangerous area against most left-handed hitters. They like to drop that bat head down on those pitches that are down and in. And Loney's capable of doing that, but Ted Lilly obviously had him looking for something else that time.
One and one on Blake. Milwaukee hosting Cincinnati tonight. Johnny Cueto and Braden Looper, the pitching matchup. Cardinals are on the West Coast. Joel Pinheiro and Matt Cain in a nice matchup as they play the Giants. Smacked in the left. Base hit. Zethier an opportunity. He's 11 for his last 71. One of the few Dodgers who has struggled lately at the plate.
He's had some physical issues with a sore right big toe. You may notice on that right foot he's got a protective pad covering the toe. As you can imagine, if you've got some pain in that foot that comes down as you stride into the pitch, it can really throw your mechanics out of whack. I'm not saying that's the reason for his struggles, but certainly that would be a partial explanation.
He split the toenail during spring training and then aggravated it last weekend against the Angels.
And everything you do as a hitter, you listen to hitting coaches, they talk about that solid base. You want to have your feet on the ground firmly so that everything can work off of that solid base. And when that front foot comes down and you feel that white hot flash of pain, Sometimes your base gets a little loose. You don't come down on that front foot the way you'd like to.
Well, it's like Bill Murray said in Stripes, you know, where are you going to be without your big toe?
That's right.
Two and two on Ethier. Of course, in the movie, Sergeant Hulka was the big toe. The kick and the pitch, just got a piece of it. Count holding at 2-2.
Well, that's how easily your swing or your mechanics as a pitcher can get out of whack, though. You have a minor injury. Now, instead of coming down solidly on that front foot, you start to glide out there a little bit, and now you start to speed up your bat because you don't feel like you're getting the fastballs, and before you know it, everything's out of whack.
Soriano makes a grab to end the inning. It'll be 3, 4, and 5 in the Cubs order coming up in a scoreless tie. Before Darren Dreifert did it against the Cubs in 2000, who was the last Dodger pitcher to homer twice in one game?
Affleck!
The late Don Drysdale, Hall of Famer, did it against the Milwaukee Braves in 1958.
I would have guessed Fernando Valenzuela. Would have been wrong once again, as usual.
Interesting, I guess, 6 degrees of separation. Frank Torrey played in that game. The brother of Joe back in 1958.
Is that a Viewmaster? Man, I haven't seen one of those in years.
The whole Batman series. Fukudome pops it into shallow center, and Juan Castro retires him.
The wind has really picked up since this game began. As soon as that ball went up in the air, Matt Kemp froze initially and then immediately looked to his infielders for help. He had a long way to go on that ball. He's looking at Castro saying, "You got plenty of room. Go ahead and take it." Really knocked that pop-up down.
Chad Billingsley has given up 1 home run all year. That was to Brian Giles of the Padres at Dodger Stadium on May 3rd. He's in his 71st inning of the season. That's pretty impressive. Only right-handed starter for the Dodgers in this series, Randy Wolf. Got the win last night. Eric Stoltz and Eric Milton will go on Saturday and Sunday. Ryan Dempster and lefty Sean Marshall, respectively, for the Cubs. The 2-1 swing and a miss, 2-2. And Lee strikes out. Number 5 for Billingsley. Don't miss the action as the Cubs battle the Dodgers this Sunday night. Game time 7:05, but be sure to arrive early. The first 5,000 children 13 and younger will get Cubs wristbands, compliments of Frito-Lay. Off power with a double his first time. That moved Derek Lee to third with nobody out in the second inning, but the Cubs could not get a run. In tight, the ball and a strike. Hit the facing of the Dodger dugout.
Well, that got over there in a hurry. Billingsley tried to throw a slider down and into Micah Hoffpower. Micah caught it out in front of the plate and ripped a bullet over off the roof of the Dodgers dugout.
Very close. Hoffpower got the benefit of the doubt. 3-2. There are several pitches every game that I think could absolutely go either way. I mean, two reasonable baseball people could look at the same pitch and one could say, oh, it's a strike, and the other could say, no, it's a ball. And the umpire, Bob, can't say, I don't know. He has to call it one way or the other. That's why it's one of the toughest jobs in sports. Maybe the toughest. Little floater, and it'll drop for a hit. Hoffpower's 2 for 2. And normally, all the time, the player's reaction to the call is if it goes against my team, it's a bad call.
Yep.
That's the way it works.
You know, and to really illustrate your point, and we have the opportunity, especially on the road, to go down in the clubhouse as you get a look at Micah Hoffpower's 2-out base hit into left center. And the guys are watching an out-of-town game. And there'll be one of those borderline pitches, and the pitchers all say, oh, that's a good pitch. And the hitters will all say, oh, it's way outside. Same pitch, different sets of eyes, different frame of reference.
Fontenot singles. With Hoffpower making the turn but holding at second base. Back-to-back 2-out hits.
A little rumbling here with 2 outs. Micah Hoffpower with his base hit to the opposite field, and then Mike Fontenot picking on a fastball down and in, grounding it sharply through that right side.
As good as Chad Billingsley is, I know Mike Fontenot has to be feeling a lot more comfortable. Last night was a really tough night for the lefties against Randy Wolf.
Well, small consolation, but lefties all around the National League have had all kinds of problems against Randy Wolf this year.
One ball, no strikes on Coy Hill, getting the nod today after Soto started last night. Three hits for the Cubs. The Dodgers have 2. Nobody yet with a run. Cubs are trying to change that right here. The pitch inside, 3-1. As good as Billingsley was against the Cubs in Game 2 of the division series, he had a terrible time in the NLCS. He lost both starts against the Phillies. Lost Game 2 and 5. And had an ERA of 18, and he just loaded him up. As Blanco will get a chance with 3 on and 2 down.
I mentioned earlier in the game that Ted Lilly's been very economical with his pitches this season, going over the 100 mark only 2 times. Billingsley, on the other hand, because he is a strikeout pitcher, has gone 105 pitches or more every start this season, with the exception of his very first start against the Padres. He threw 94 pitches in 6 innings in that game. But every other start, 105 pitches or more.
He has completed at least 6 in all of his starts, and has gone 7 innings 6 times. So he has been a workhorse. He will stay from the stretch with the bases loaded. Andres Blanco recently called up and in a big spot. Strike 1. Well, you think about last night, Bobby Scales, Jake Fox put in a huge situation, 9th inning, down a run, bases loaded. And here's Blanco tapping one. Blake will field and get it. So Billingsley finds a way to escape for the 2nd time today. Off to the 5th, 0-0. Catch in the outfield, run the bases, or relax in the dugouts of Wrigley Field. Hey Dad, want to have a catch is on Saturday, June 27th. Limited tickets are available for $150 each and include a t-shirt, photograph, baseball, and lunch. To purchase tickets, visit Cubs.com or call 773-404-CUBS. Ted Lilly back to work. Matt Kemp takes it high, ball 1. Dodgers are 13-7 since Manny Ramirez was suspended for a banned substance. It's an Associated Press story, Bob. Joe Torre was asked if Manny should participate foul ball in the All-Star game if he's voted in, and Joe said no. Quote, I think if you asked Manny, he'd give you the same answer. Ramirez is ranked 4th among outfielders, so he could get voted in. Do you have any thoughts on that? I've been asked that. I don't know if I mean, Torrey's point is you reward players who have a good first half. You know, Manny just hasn't played that much. I guess that'd be the first thing.
Well, I've got some serious problems with the entire All-Star process myself. I mean, I understand that the voting is good for the fans, but what it turns into, in effect, is a popularity contest. And certainly Manny's a very popular player, no question about it. But I think there are other much more deserving players who have played every day in the first half and have done it the right way and deserve the opportunity to go to an All-Star game much more than Manny does this year.
Well, the other thing is it would be a big distraction, I think.
Oh, yeah.
For everyone there involved, so we'll see what happens. All-Star game is in St. Louis. Ball 4. Kemp takes a leadoff walk.
You know, Len, when questions are directed to Joe Torre, I tend to defer to Joe because he uses common sense, and he's been around the game so long. There's very few things that he hasn't either experienced or seen firsthand, and common sense rules the day with Joe. And if he doesn't think it's a good idea, I tend to agree with him.
Now, he collaborated with Tom Verducci from Sports Illustrated on a book called The Yankee Years. Came out in the offseason, and wow, did it grab the headlines. This was before, by the way, the A-Rod steroids controversy, and Torre opened up about his experience in New York, and including the uncomfortable failed contract negotiations that led to him leaving after 2007 and ending up with the Dodgers. Some stories about some of his former players, including A-Rod, that are apparently not the most positive portrayals. I have not read it. I did see an excerpt regarding the contract negotiations, but I tend to agree with you, and I'm sure it's a fascinating read.
Well, I think Joe Torre, like every other person who's ever managed at the major league level, could have told a lot more. And
with the Yankees?
Oh, you kidding me? I mean, sometimes a manager just has to wear it. You protect your players as best you can when you can, but there are a lot of instances where things go unsaid or unprinted, but you know, the principals know what exactly was involved, and many times the managers have to take the heat in covering up for their players.
Big swing and a miss by Castro for strike 3, and that's the first out of the 5th. Pinella, the book out about him. And I just got into by Melissa Isaacson. Well, there's a fine line. I mean, one of the most interesting baseball books ever written, Ball 4 by Jim Bouton back in the late 60s. Baseball fans loved it. Baseball players hated it. They felt there was a breach of clubhouse etiquette. You know, what goes on in here stays in here.
Well, it was a very interesting read, to say the least, and even
some guys won't read it.
No.
You've read it. Now, not a lot of former players will even read it. They don't want to read it.
And I'll go out on a limb and say that didn't even tell the whole story. It told a very seamy side of the game of baseball that a lot of people were not aware of, but the reality is it probably just scratched the surface of some of the things that go on in some clubhouses.
Billingsley turning away from that high pitch and fouling it away for strike 2.
Got a reaction from the fans here. Wrigley, that pitch is actually over the plate and up. Wasn't that close to being inside where Billingsley was in any kind of danger. That's actually a really good pitch in a sacrifice bunt situation. Throw that high fastball, maybe he pops it up into fair territory where one of your defenders can make a play. In that case, just bunted it foul.
kick and the 0-2. Double play ball. 6-4-3 to end the inning. Good to see the Cubs turn one today. Dodgers turned 4 last night. Bottom 5. 0-0. Last night, not a lot of runs in this series.
Well, and we said at the beginning of the show, with these two pitchers on the mound today, the few hits that they've given up over the course of the season, you figured that every base runner was going to be at a premium today, and there haven't been many of them.
Ted Lilly leading off, and then the top of the order for the Cubs against Chad Billingsley. One ball, one strike. Happy birthday wishes today to Deb Pratt. One and two. We got an email from Kevin on the north side asking about your curtain call in the minor leagues. Something regarding the beer batter. I think you've told this story before, right?
Yeah, somebody asked if I'd ever had a standing ovation at a ballpark, and in Bakersfield, California, one night I was the beer batter I was the opposing team playing in Fresno, California, and they always pick a player from the opposing team, and if you happen to strike out, beer is half price for the rest of the inning, and I had a real bad night at the plate, and people enjoyed a lot of suds at my expense, and got a standing ovation for that from the crowd in Bakersfield.
So it's a true story, Kevin. Strikeout number 6 for Billingsley. Plan your next corporate function or family gathering in the comfort of the Wrigley Field Mezzanine Suites, presented by Nuveen Investments. Suites are available now for games during the season. To book your suite or for more info, visit Cubs.com/suites or call 773-404-Cubs.
Big happy birthday wish today to Dorothy Serafin from Arlington Heights, Illinois, celebrating her 84th birthday. Big time Cub fan.
Swing and a miss on a heater at 91. 1 ball, 1 strike. Soriano's 4 for his last 34. Top of the order hasn't gotten on base. Top three have been really good in his homestand. Soriano with a couple of big walks the other night against the Pirates. But he and Scales and Fukudome, the first two times through, are 0 for 6. Ryan Theriot available to pinch hit, but under the weather today, so he's out of the lineup for just the third time this season.
I'm not quite sure how to pronounce this gentleman's last name. It's spelled L-O-W-N, Lown or Lone, Brad Lone. From St. Charles, Illinois, big bass fisherman. He knows I like to fish. He sent me some lures that he guarantees will catch fish, Brad, so I'm going to hold you to it.
They look pretty.
Yeah. We'll try that blue one first. He had one that was cubby blue. So I got to think that's going to work on the fish here in the Chicago area.
Yeah. Three-two on the way. He got it. Rare to see Alfonso take a called third strike.
Came on a high breaking pitch from Billingsley. You can see Martin wants the pitch low and away. It just hangs right up belt high in the middle of the plate.
Not every pitcher gets that call, but when you look at the rule book, I mean, that is a strike. The 0-1 to Scales, ground ball easily handled by Hudson to end the inning. Lilly and Billingsley dueling today. No score.
It's the latest edition of Chicago Tribune Live on Comcast Sportsnet. David Kaplan, Tribune writers, sports stars, and celebrities discuss the day's hottest sports topics and set the table for the night ahead. Don't miss Chicago Tribune Live tonight at 5:30 right here on Comcast Sportsnet.
Third time through the order for Ted Lilly against Juan Pierre. 0-1. Ted hasn't given up a lot of hits this year. First time through, opponents batting .230. Second time .233. Third time .246. Those are all excellent numbers. Billingsley with more strikeouts than Lilly, but through 5, they've thrown exactly the same amount of pitches.
You know, Len, many times the matchup on paper doesn't always materialize once the game starts, but we thought this one was going to be a pitcher's duel from the outset today.
And I even thought when the wind was blowing out it would play out this way. Now the wind blowing in, it absolutely is a day that does not favor offense.
Which is why it's all the more important to get the leadoff hitter every inning. Try to eliminate the options that the opposing team has when they do get that leadoff hitter on.
For individual health insurance from a name you can trust, call Blue Cross Blue Shield of Illinois at 866-575-BLUE. Pierre grounding out, and Russell Martin took a breaker for a strike. Ted never did face the Dodgers in the division series last year because he was slated to pitch in Game 4. And unfortunately, Cubs never got to Game 4. I know that was the one, probably the biggest thing for Lou looking back at that series. Ted was one of the hottest starters at the end of the season. But the thing is, you don't plan for getting swept. Cubs with 4 top starters, and Lilly just happened to be the Game 4 guy. Martin thrown out by Coy Hill.
Coy Hill a little more emphatic than most catchers, fielding that little tapper out in front of home plate. You may remember the injury he had to his right hand, the off-season injury where his fingers were severed, had to be reaffixed to his hand, and where that's usually a very easy scoop and throw play for most catchers, Coy really had to concentrate on jamming his right hand down on that baseball.
So Menard's big lumber stat, Hudson leading the league in hits, although he doesn't have one in the series to this point until now. Figured that was coming. A 2-out single for Hudson. It's only their 3rd hit. They've all been singles. James Loney coming up.
Well, 2 of the 3 hits that the Dodgers have in this game have come with 2 outs in the inning. That's just what I was talking about a moment ago. If you can keep the leadoff man off the bases on a day like this, you got a much better chance of getting out of an inning unscathed.
The pitch, ball 1. Cubs allowing 2 or fewer runs in their last 3 games going in. A staff ERA of 1.57. Starters have taken up a vast majority of those innings. Well, one number that has continued on is the Cubs still have not won a game in which they have scored 3 or fewer runs. Every win, all 23 of them, has seen the Cubs score at least 4 times. A blooper down the line that's going to drop out of play. But there's always a time for a first, and today hopefully it'll be that day. I mean, yeah, we'd love to see the Cubs rack up a 5 or 6 run inning, but they may have to squeak one out today, 2-1 or 1-0.
And just as a point of comparison, the Dodgers, when scoring 3 or less, 8-6 on the season. So there are going to be occasions where you have to find ways to win. Scratch across 1 run if the pitcher's throwing a shutout, a couple of runs if he's given up 1.
Not too many teams win more than they lose when you score 3 or less. And you can almost take that to the bank when you think about what teams average in terms of runs per game. More than 3. I mean, the National League earned run average, so this doesn't even include unearned runs, is 4.37. So right there, the league average in terms of earned runs would be almost 4.5. So you go 8-6 when you score 3 or less. That's hard to do. Ted Lilly strikes out James Loney to keep this game scoreless as we go to the home half of the 6th. Okay. Wait. I should say in or at.
The Chicago Cubs strongly encourage the use of public transportation. The CTA Red Line stops directly at Wrigley Field at the Addison Station.
Kosuke Fukudome down into the corner and right. On his way to second. Ball gets past Ethier. Kosuke will end up at third. And the Cubs are in business. A double and an error.
Ethier with the shades on out there in right field. The sun has slid behind the clouds momentarily. He just took his head off that ball, was looking up to see where he was going to throw the ball before he actually caught it. Fukudome going hard all the way, makes the determination that he can make it easily to third base. That is huge.
Infield coming about halfway and not all the way to the edge of the grass. As the Cubs try to grab the lead. 0-1 inside. Third time the Cubs have had a very good scoring chance. Second and third, no outs in the second. Bases loaded, 2 outs in the fourth, and now runner at third, no outs in the sixth. Foul tip, strike 2, 1-2 on Lee.
Eric just does stay alive on that high fastball. Billingsley is pretty consistent with his mechanics, but occasionally on 2 strike counts to right-handed batters, he'll drop down and throw a sidearm slider. He's gone after Derek with fastballs in and sliders away. Haven't seen him really drop down and throw any sidearm pitches in this game yet.
Eric's average at 248. 5 homers on the year. He is hitting .322 this month. The pitch. He took it outside. Fukudome with a double, and on the play, moving up to third on an Andre Ethier error in right. 2-2 pitch, ground ball back to Billingsley. Fukudome holding, 1 out. Chad Billingsley has erected a wall halfway down the third base line as the Cubs still haven't gotten that run across.
That's all the difference in the world. When you get to that 2 strike count, an offensive player has to be a little more protective at the plate. You have to maybe swing at a pitch that you normally wouldn't. That time Billingsley dropped a curveball just below the knees on the outside corner. Derek Lee felt it was too close to take, but all he could do with it was tap it back to the mound.
The infield stays in. With Hoffpower at the plate, a roller knocked down. Kosuke holding again, 2 outs. James Loney playing goalie at first, saving a run and getting the out.
Slider down and in. Hoffpower hits it off the end of the bat, but got it pretty firmly. Looked like it was headed for the right field corner. Loney knocks it down. It stays right there for him. Easy to say after the fact that Kosuke maybe could have scored on that play. Loney did not field it cleanly, but the ball dropped right near his feet. I'm not so sure he would have been able to make it home.
Ball 1 on Fontenot. You know, the Cubs today do not have a fly out. We've seen strikeouts, ground outs, pop to short. Another ground ball, and it's Loney by himself, and Billingsley gets off the hook yet again, and the Cubs fans are showing their frustration. 0-0 to the 7th. start in the regular season at short for the Cubs. We saw some good range last night as well.
Made some real nice plays at second base in the ball game last night, flashing that range once again today at shortstop.
Another frustrating day offensively as the Cubs are 0-for-7 with men in scoring position. And actually, Bob, they could make outs with a runner at third and less than 2 outs and get the guy home. So it's not necessarily that they've needed a hit. Now, Chad Billingsley has found a way out of it. But so has Ted Lilly. And the Cubs have had the better chances. The Dodgers have not put a runner at third to this point. They've only had one official at bat with a runner in scoring position. A 2-0 pitch to Casey Blake. He breaks his bat. That ball is foul. Wow. We've seen bats break in every way imaginable.
Well, that one looked like a cue shot right off the very end of the bat. Ted Lilly threw him some kind of an off-speed pitch. It looked like Casey Blake was using what they call a cupped bat, where they take about an ounce of weight out of the very end of the bat. He was so far out in front, the ball hit right off that cup at the end of the bat and split down the barrel.
The Denver Post has reported that Clint Hurdle is going to be fired today. Rockies are 18-28, 2-2 on Blake. They're 14.5 out in the National League West. They just got swept by these Dodgers. They went to the World Series in 2007. And Hurdle's been there for a long time.
MLB.com reporting that former Dodger manager Jim Tracy, who was the bench coach under Clint Hurdle, will take over as the skipper of the team.
This is Clint's 8th season and his 7th full campaign. He was hired in late April of '02. Blake draws the leadoff walk. Scales coming over to chat with Lilly before Ethier steps in.
Let's see how Joe Torre chooses to play this here. As we talked about all day, hits are at a premium. Runs are even more scarce.
Lilly can't get it, but it goes right to the shortstop Blanco, and he turns a 6-3 double play. Actually worked out better that Lilly couldn't flag it down or tip it.
I really thought we were going to see a sac bunt there, Len. Lefty on lefty. Andre Ethier, as you mentioned, had been struggling at the plate. It seemed like a perfect opportunity to put down a sac bunt. Set it up for Matt Kemp and Juan Castro at the bottom of the order, but the lefty swings away and hits into an easy 6-3 double play.
Curveball dipped too low to Matt Kemp. Joe Montana coming up with our 7th inning stretch. High fly ball. Soriano's back on the warning track, and it is into the basket. It barely got out. Matt Kemp with his 5th home run of the year, and the Dodgers strike first. For Kemp, this is his first extra base hit in 14 games and his first homer over his last 20 games.
Well, there's no question Matt Kemp is a strong kid, but with that wind blowing in and as high in the air as he hit this ball, I didn't think it had a chance. Soriano and Fukudome both run out of room. That ball barely makes it into the basket.
It hurts even more considering the chances the Cubs have had, particularly in the 6th inning. Could not get that first run. Swung on and missed by Castro. Back comes Ted. Golfed into center. It's going to hold up there for Fukudome. Joe Mantegna coming up with our stretch.
For Take Me Out to the Ball Game is actor and Chicago native Joe Mantegna.
Let me hear you. A 1, a 2, a 3. Take me out to the ball game. Take me out to the park. Buy me some peanuts and Cracker Jacks. I don't care if I ever get back, so we'll root for the Cubbies. If they don't win, it's a shame. For it's 1, 2, 3 strikes, you're out at the old Cub game. Let's get those run back. Let's go, Cubbies! Woo-hoo!
Always nice to see you, and we've seen all 4 seasons today. Has it snowed yet?
I think it's coming. I saw a few flurries in right field.
I'd like to see a flurry of runs from the Cubs, as you said, to get that run back. As
Come on, Coy. That's
goes
it. Go
deep.
Go deep.
And they tie it.
Woohoo!
On the first pitch. And it's 1-1. There you go.
See, they just needed a little song in their heart. Great.
Well, they haven't been getting it done with runners in scoring position, so Coy Hill just said, I'll just hit a home run.
Heineken home run replay, a hanging slider right in the middle of the plate, belt high. Just does get it up into that basket. Chad Billingsley cannot believe it.
Only the second home run Billingsley has allowed all season. Coy Hill with his second. And the crowd back into it. Here's Blanco with Jake Fox on deck for Ted Lilly. So what's new, Joe? Got a TV series?
Yeah.
Doing well?
The show's doing fantastic. Criminal Minds. I'm starting my the show's starting its 5th season. Starting my 3rd season. I'll go back to work in July.
Blanco bunts and Billingsley throws him out.
And so I'm just thrilled to be there. And I just flew in from Washington today. I hosted the National Memorial Day concert on Sunday in Washington. It's my 8th year doing that. I do it with our fellow Chicagoan Gary Sinise. We co-hosted together, so that was a wonderful event. We had Katie Holmes, we had Lawrence Fishburne, we had Trace Atkins, great talent. And then last night I hosted the Sons of Italy convention in Washington, and we honored Joe Biden. So it was a full weekend, and got on a plane this morning with my family and made it to Wrigley just in time, and hopefully to see the Cubs win today.
Jake Fox batting for Ted Lilly, who still could get the win today if the Cubs can get at least one more here in the 7th against Chad Billingsley. Breaking ball for a strike. Might have been a cutter from Billingsley. And I also see that you contributed to the new documentary coming out. I don't know if you've seen it. We Believe, Chicago and its Cubs.
Yeah, no, I haven't seen the whole documentary yet, but We Believe, they should put that in like letters 5 feet high, because we definitely belief is all we have for the last 100 years plus. But you know what? It's going to happen. It's going to happen.
The 0-2 to Fox.
Okay, come on.
Base hit up the middle. Jake Fox continues to hit.
Nice piece of hitting. Took a breaking ball right back up the middle of the field. Making some noise here. I like it. Joe, I got to tell you, I look on your bio here and I see that you received an honorary doctorate in psychology back in June.
Yeah,
from the Chicago School of Professional Psychology.
That's right. I guess they figure if you're going to be a Cub fan, you have to know a bit about psychology or something. But yeah, I gave the commencement speech last year here for Chicago School of Psychology. It was a thrill. So, you know, I have my doctorate now, and so take 2 aspirin, call me in the morning. And but it's always great to come back to the hometown. I've got my cousin here, flew in from Portland, Oregon with his grandchildren to see the game today. Who's a huge Cub fan. My brother's here, my Uncle Willie.
Base hit to right. Joe, you've been good luck. 2 on.
Just have to convert now.
That has been the problem here the last few innings, but good to see that Coy Hill leadoff home run, and here comes Bobby Scales. We'll see some action out in the bullpen. I don't know if you're available in the bullpen today.
A little high and wide, I see. Yeah, well, you know, I didn't want to bounce it in. My feeling was better be high and wide than in the dirt. So
you don't want those right-handed hitters digging in on you. That's it. Keep them loose.
Brush them back. That's not my day job, you know. Thank God. But
Belisario, the righty, leached the lefty. And I think they're just trying to buy some time as both guys just started to throw in the visitors' bullpen. And your first appearance singing the stretch was the Kerry Wood 20 strikeout game, right?
I mean, unbelievable. I mean, I'll never forget that you know, it was a drizzly, similar day to today, a little moisture in the air, and it was in the month of May. And to think that turned out to be a Hall of Fame game. 20 strikeouts. I lost my voice, I think, right around this time up here screaming with all you guys. Yeah, it's just great. And I have that ball signed and dated by Kerry Wood, and it's that was a real thrill.
We'll never forget the post-game interview that Kerry did, and he's holding his headphones. His hands are shaking.
Yeah,
he had so much adrenaline.
Oh yeah, he was unstoppable. If you remember that, he should have really had 21. I think it was either a drop third strike or something. It was a nicked ball. I mean, it was.
Oh, so close.
Oh, so close. Almost set the record.
So 2 on for Bobby Scales in a 1-1 tie in the 7th. Another tight ball game between the Dodgers and the Cubs. And Scales went after it, 1 strike. So you have to represent out in L.A. like we talked to Bill Peterson last night. We've had Jeff Garland on. We get John Cusack up here trying to spread the love.
Oh yeah,
Jim Belushi, everybody's doing it.
Well, we have a restaurant in Burbank called Taste Chicago.
That's
and
right.
A lot of the guys all come there, and it's really great. So they all come. We eat the Italian beefs, we eat the pizza, the deep dish. We have the Polish. We have all the neon relish even for the hot dogs. So it's turned out to be a real hangout place for a lot of the ex-Chicagoans, and it's really great. It gives us kind of a place to at least get the food and watch the Cubs on TV, if nothing else.
Bob, we got to head over there. Our
Absolutely.
team hotel in LA is not too far from Burbank. Bounced foul. 1-2 on Bobby Scales.
You know, Joe, the reason I ask you about your honorary doctorate, we've had some psychological issues with the team this year, and the coaching staff may want to hire you as
Well, we'll see. We'll see. I mean, if they get some runs here, I will think that maybe my singing spurred them on to new heights. But we'll see. But well, we all have faith. That's it. This is our century. I believe it.
Good take. 2-2 on Scales. It's been a while. The pitch.
Come on, come on.
That is going to drop down. And they are loaded up. Unfortunately, Fox had to hesitate just at first to make sure that Castro wasn't going to catch it. And they're loaded for Pucadome.
Good battling at bat once again by Bobby Scales. He got jammed, but just fights that ball off into shallow left field. Hey, you're right about Jake Fox. He had to hold up momentarily. Wasn't sure if Castro was going to get there or not. Can only advance as far as third base.
Dodgers are in double play depth. Blake plays with his toes right on the edge of the grass at third. And ball one on Kosuke. Again, the Cubs don't have to get a hit with a runner in scoring position in this spot. In fact, 2 runners in scoring position. They would like to see Kosuke lift one deep to the outfield. That'll get it done. The pitch.
Good eye.
2-0. He could walk with the bases loaded.
Hey,
a lot of different ways to get it done.
We'll take anything.
Jack Brickhouse used to talk about that all the time. A hit.
A pass ball would look good right now.
A wild pitch. A hit batter. A sac fly. A fielder's choice.
A balk.
3-0.
Okay. Oh, yeah. They're wound up now.
The 3-0 pitch is a strike. Bob, what do you tell yourself in this spot if you're Kosuke? 3-1 with the bases loaded.
Well, I mean, Kosuke has such a good eye. He's not going to swing at a bad pitch, I don't think. He's looking for a strike, something he can drive to the outfield, lay off anything from the middle of the thighs down.
Here it is.
Yes.
Fly ball to the outfield. Kemp coming in. Fox taking off. The throw to the plate is not in time. And I think the Dodgers are going to appeal at third base to see if Fox left early, and he did not. It was close, but he did wait until the ball was caught, and it's 2-1. You see Blake still chatting with the third base umpire, Mark Wegner.
Whew. That seemed like a lot of work, didn't it? Just to get one run home. Good at bat by Kosuke. Got a pitch he knew he could drive to the outfield.
And the role players coming through. Fox and Scales with big singles in this inning. Jake Fox is a pinch hitter, scoring the go-ahead run after the backup catcher, Coy Hill, tied it with a leadoff home run. The other thing, Joe, is that today it's set up bullpen-wise the way you'd like it to go just about every day. That's Marmol in the 8th with a lead, and then Greg in the 9th. It's been a while.
The table's set, you know. You just need to serve the meal and eat it up and go on home.
Making me hungry.
Yeah.
It's a strike on Derek Lee. 1-1 to count. Well, blue skies above. We've seen a little bit of everything weather-wise.
I tell you, if you're a baseball fan, this is one of the most beautiful spots to sit in on the planet Earth. Just right now, looking out here on this day, this skyline, this ballpark.
And you've got about 40,000 people packed into Wrigley Field. You get a little sliver of Lake Michigan.
It's unbelievable. This is, if they ever put in, like, if they ever want to make the ultimate dictionary and use the picture of, you know, that describes what baseball is, this should be this shot right here. Just great.
Whoa. 2-2.
Dodgers.
Mark Wegner got it right.
Yeah, I think the Dodgers thought that Jake Fox left early. He actually timed it perfectly. As soon as that ball made contact with the pocket of Matt Kemp's glove, he pushed off the bag at third and scored easily.
The 2-2 to Lee, fouled straight back. You start back up in July. Are you in town for a while, Joe?
I'm in town through the weekend to visit family. All my dear mom's 93 years old and in a retirement home out here. My brother's here. My wife has all her family, her 2 brothers, 2 sisters, her mom. So we always are pretty busy once we come and visit.
Up in the air, Kemp falling off Ethier. And that ends the inning, but Joe said, let's get that run back, and the Cubs did you one better. They got 2.
They've listened. That psychology thing worked.
That's right. Joe Montaigne, thanks so much for the time. Always a
The Chicago Cubs hired Buck O'Neil as the first black coach in Major League Baseball history.
Carlos Marmol will make his 24th appearance. And Ted Lilly can get the win.
Deservedly so. He pitched an outstanding ball game against a red-hot offense today. Held him to 4 hits. He did walk 3 batters, but no damage done by those walks. The only damage, the solo home run off the bat of Matt Kemp. Nice job, Ted Lilly.
Well, Joe Torre has the luxury today with Rafael Furcal starting the game on the bench to insert him here in a leadoff spot as he bats for Billingsley in the 8th inning. So it's going to be up to the bullpens the rest of the way as Furcal takes ball 1 from Marmol. 40,148. The paid crowd here at Wrigley Field. Thanks to Joe Montana for hanging with us. Scales in as per call, as he did it last night, thinking about that slug bunt. History's biggest hit is back. Don't miss a sneak peek of Ice Road Truckers at the bottom of the 8th. Inside 3-0. On for call as Marmol is in that mode of struggling with his command. And a lot of times he gets that first pitch in for a strike and he gets locked in. Way outside. Ball 4. Leadoff man is on. Carlos was away for a couple of days to start this homestand for the birth of his daughter. Came back and got the win against the Pirates a couple of days ago with a scoreless inning. Pierre taking a strike.
Long set of signs from third base coach Larry Boa for call, and Pierre both intently staring down there.
The Dodgers took game 1 at 2-1. The Cubs lead today 2-1. And that hit him. Boy, well, I'll tell you what. Furcal ends up at second base. There's no question that ball hit something. I mean, I could clearly hear it. Either way, Furcal is going to be at second base. And the question is, Bob, will Juan Pierre get first?
And the question for me is, did Juan Pierre step out of the batter's box to get hit by that pitch? A lot of times a left-handed hitter, when trying to bunt for a base hit, that left foot comes out of the batter's box behind home plate. Watch the left foot. He's out of the batter's box right there. The ball definitely caught him on the knee, but he's out of the batter's box.
So the umpires are getting together to see what happened. Now, the other thing is, if the call is it didn't hit anything, that's also not the correct call. But Furcal went to second, and they're going to send him back, and they're calling it. Are they calling him out or a swing? Looks to me, Bob, like they're saying he swung at it. So I believe they've called a strike.
There's no doubt from the replay the ball hit Juan Pierre in the knee.
So let's see if he offered at it. I don't know.
I don't know. Very late pulling the bat back. His foot was out of the batter's box. A lot of things going on right there. I'm not sure which supersedes the other. But we're going to continue here with an 0-2 count on Juan Pierre and Rafael Furcal still at first base.
Here's the pitch. Pulled foul. This reminds me of a game at Dodger Stadium. Maybe the year before last. I think Marmol hit Pierre to end the game. That was the bottom of the 11th with the bases loaded. On May 27th, 2007. Don't ask me how I remember.
Furcal just getting an absolutely ridiculous lead over there at first base.
And it's Fontenot spinning. Blanco out at first. Double play. You don't see that a lot. Juan Pierre grounding into a 4-6-3. And Joe Torre thinks Pierre got to first before the throw.
Nice back pivot by Mike Fontenot. Got the ball to Blanco quickly. His strong throw to first. Ooh, looks like the Cubs got a break there. Very close, but it looked like Pierre got the foot down on the bag before Derek Lee wrapped that big first baseman's mitt around that ball. It's only the second double play that Juan Pierre has grounded into this season. I'd be willing to guess it's the first time it was a 4-6-3. Very tough to complete a double play from the right side of the field with a fast runner at the plate.
Bases cleared. Russell Martin takes a hard one up and in. The Cubs have now turned 3 double plays. That has been the story of the series. The Dodgers turned the trick 4 times in game 1. Would you say Carlos has been effectively wild here this inning?
Well, he will be effectively wild if he can come back and get Russell Martin out. He really has no idea where the ball's going right now, especially on that fastball. He tends to overthrow, really get underneath the ball, causing it to sail up and in. And usually, as you said before, it's a slider that gets him back into the strike zone, because mechanically he has to be right on that pitch to get it into the strike zone.
If I could read lips, Larry at one point said 1 pitch at a time.
1 pitch at a time. Sometimes Carlos gets in a little bit too much of a hurry. Slow down, take a deep breath, concentrate on each pitch.
Well, the thing is, the way he threw that fastball looked like he took something off it, and it was still at 94.
Nice,
free and easy.
Smooth delivery.
Ball 4. He's walked 2 in the inning. And here's Orlando Hudson. His first hit of the set came in his last at bat. '69 hits, leading the league. He's the only Dodger who has started every game. 50 games, 50 starts for Hudson. Well, almost handcuffed Derek. The number 3 hitters in baseball are going to show bunt.
May have been a case where Hudson knew he wasn't going to swing at the first pitch, so shows bunt to try to alter the Cubs defense a little bit and then go to hacking on the next pitch. Try to draw in those corner infielders just a little bit.
1-2. Runner goes, and he struck him out. So Marmol battled some command issues in the inning. He walked 2, but got a double play ball. And then he powered one past Hudson, and it's still 2-1 Cubs. And Brent Leach, a lefty, a rookie left-hander, will make his 11th appearance. He's been better against righties than lefties. There's the closer, Kevin Gregg, getting ready for the 9th. Called strike. The Dodgers didn't miss Manny Ramirez last night. They had an early lead and able to hold on. But this is one of those games, Bob, where you're glad he's not in their lineup. Because Marmol would have probably had to face him, or Gregg in the 9th would face one of baseball's best hitters. Is Hudson underhands, and it's a 4-3 ground out. It's time to bring you up to speed with the AT&T Rapid Rewind. Kemp giving the Dodgers the lead, and the top of the 7th off Ted Lilly, but then Coy Hill in the bottom of the 7th. First pitch tied it with a home run, and then Kosuke Fukudome a little later, sacrifice fly to center. Cubs lead 2-1. AT&T, the nation's fastest 3G network. AT&T, your world delivered. Two strikes on Fontenot.
Well, obviously a very satisfying home run for Coy Hill for a lot of different reasons. I mean, everybody in that third base dugout was trying to do something to get Ted Lilly a victory in this ball game today because of the way he pitched, but Nobody more so than the catcher, because you're back there catching every pitch. You see what Ted had to do to work his way through this Dodgers lineup today was extremely effective, and you hate to send him home with a loss or a no decision. Has to feel great as the catcher, not only calling the pitches for Ted Lilly behind the plate, but hitting the big home run to jumpstart the offense.
Rolled foul past third. One and two to Fontenot. And Hill is on deck. Leach is going to pick it up and flip. James Loney able to get that very short throw. Looked like Leach didn't know if he was going to go to the bag or get the ball. And they got Fontenot for the second out.
Well, that almost worked like a perfect bunt for a base hit. Oh.
Missed that one.
Yep. Jeff Kellogg's had a rough day down there at first base. Now, granted, they've all been extremely close and unorthodox plays. It looked like Mike Fontenot beat that one out.
Curveball strike to Hill. We haven't seen Ryan Theriot today. If he does not appear in the game at some point, it'll be the first time he hasn't appeared all season. But he's ready in case.
Looks a lot better now than he did early this morning when I saw him in the clubhouse. He had his t-shirt pulled up over his mouth and his nose, was trying to stay away from his teammates.
Looking ahead to the ninth, Kevin Gregg will have to deal with Loney, Blake, and Ethier, the three scheduled hitters for the Dodgers. Cubs have gone 19-1 when leading into the ninth. Called strike three. Here comes that ninth inning. Kevin Gregg coming on for the save. 2-1. It with a leadoff home run in the bottom of the seventh. Second homer of the year, second in the month of May. Kosuke Fukudome moves from center to right to accommodate the entrance of Reed Johnson, who will hit ninth in the Cubs order. Hopefully he won't have to bat. And the closer Kevin Gregg is in the fifth spot, once occupied by Micah Hoffpower. The Dodgers are 0-14 going into the ninth, trailing. We mentioned the Cubs have only lost once when they lead entering the ninth. It's the closer Gregg against Loney, Blake, and Ethier.
Get the lead man. Limit the options Joe Torre has.
Johnson shades Loney a little bit toward left center. A ball and 2 strikes on the Dodger first baseman. We send out best wishes Melissa and David Smith and their 2-year-old son Caden. 2-month-old son having a second heart surgery in Milwaukee, and our thoughts are with them. Two balls, 2 strikes. The pitch. Loney hanging in there as Gregg tries to put him away. Gregg trying to notch his 70th career save. It would be his 8th and 9 chances as a member of the Cubs. He has the sign from Hill. Here he comes. That's a deep fly, but it's going to twist out of play.
One of those pitches Loney's fouling off to the third base side. Fastballs from the middle of the plate away. Normally you want to stay away from a hitter's power in a 1-run ball game late. And Loney looks like he's content just to foul those pitches off. Well, Hill wanted to go in with a fastball. Kevin Gregg wants to go away again. Another foul ball.
Our producer of Cubs baseball here on Comcast Sportsnet is Bob Albrecht. Our director Dave Turner, our associate producer Tamara Anderson. As the sun comes out again. 9th inning, 2-1 Cubs as they try to even up this series. And he got him to chase. Hill will toss to Lee. 1 out. Loney has struck out all 4 times.
Boy, bottom fell out of that one. Loney was definitely in swing mode, fouling off pitch after pitch after pitch. Finally, Kevin Gregg, with what appeared to be a split finger fastball, bottom fell out. Loney swung right over the top.
Here's Casey Blake. The stage manager in the booth, Christine Charbonneau. Our technical director, Joe Vinci. Our tech manager, Mark Harper. The senior executive producer of Cubs baseball on Comcast Sportsnet, Jim Corno Jr. Great work by our entire Comcast Sportsnet crew. Two strikes to Blake. Blake is 1 for 9 with 3 punch-outs against Kevin Gray. The guy on deck, Andre Ethier, 0 for 5. Two.
I wanted that one. Perfectly placed fastball from Kevin Gregg. Maybe just a hair off the outside corner, but freezes Casey Blake. Back with a breaking ball right in that same general location.
Well, that was a pitch Coy wanted originally. Gregg shook him off and ended up going back to the well again. And it's 3-2. Big pitch.
Sometimes that's done just to confuse the hitter a little bit. They see the pitcher shaking off out there on the mound, maybe get him guessing in the wrong direction. Other times the pitcher thinks about it and says, maybe you're right. Maybe I should throw that fastball away.
A second 3-2 offering. Kosuke coming over and right. He has it, 2 outs.
Slicing fly ball down that right field line. Wind pushing it over toward foul territory. Nice running catch by Kosuke.
Has 1 hit in this series. That was a 6th inning double last night. He's 1 for 7. The 1-1 pitch is too low. 2-1. Kemp is on deck. He hit the go-ahead homer in the 7th. Just snuck it into the basket and left. Good heater. The payoff pitch. Left center. It's going to drop down, and the Dodgers are still alive. Ethier with a 2-out base hit, bringing up Matt Kemp.
Stuck with that fastball away, and Ethier cued it right off the very end of the bat. Actually didn't hit it well enough to get it out to Alfonso Soriano in left field. Drops in front for a base hit.
The 1-0. 1 ball, 1 strike. Mark Loretta on deck in the pitcher's spot. Here comes Gray to third. Scales drops it. No play. An error on Bobby Scales. And now the tying run is in scoring position.
Appeared to be a fairly routine play. Two hopper hit down Bobby Scales way at third base. Actually 3 or 4 hopper. Just hit him in the heel of the glove and popped out. By the time he recovers, Kemp is busting down that line.
Mark Loretta's been a really tough out the last couple of years in this spot. Look at what he's done in the pinch. So Kevin Gregg in a jam here. 1 ball, no strikes. The 1-0 to Loretta is low and outside for Call on deck.
As if Cub fans needed another reminder of how much we miss Aramis Ramirez down there at third base. Not only is bat in the middle of the lineup driving home those big runs, but playing the solid defense that he's played over the last couple of years. This game should be over.
And with that runner at second, Bob, Mark Loretta is one of the last guys you want to face because he makes contact. He's a career .297 hitter. He's not an all or nothing type of guy.
Foul line to foul line.
The 2-0 ground ball to short. This should do it. It does. As Blanco gets it to Fontenot, Cubs win 2-1 the final. Took Kevin Gregg just a couple more pitches than he wanted, but he notches the save. Ted Lilly gets the victory, and the Cubs have evened up this series at 1 apiece.